Therese and I are both residents of Lyttelton. Therese is Director of the Air Force Museum of New Zealand at Wigram, and I have recently retired as a Director of Rough and Mill Landscape Architects. Our purpose in being here today is to outline how the Lyttelton Museum has fared since the earthquakes and express our interest in obtaining from the Council a site in Lyttelton's main street for the purpose of building a new museum.
Tēnā koutou. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this morning about the Lyttelton Museum journey. We hope to give you the last 6 years, our journey so far, in about 6 minutes. We are conscious of the time. And I need to stress that Peter and I are just a representative of a very large and vigorous committee who have, invested hundreds and hundreds of hours over the last few years in looking at where the future goes. I should also note that there are references to the re-establishment of the Lyttelton Museum throughout the Lyttelton Master Plan document, but rather than wait for someone else to take the lead, we long ago decided that that was our job, and so we're just getting on with it. So by way of background, the museum was established in 1969, and from 1980 the Society ran the Lyttelton Museum in the council-owned former Merchant Navy Centre on Norwich Quay. The broad and varied social history and maritime collection is valued for being unique, comprehensive and relevant, and the Antarctic collection has international significance. That all came to an abrupt end when the building was badly damaged in the September 2010 earthquake and irreparably damaged in February 2011. However, thanks to the amazing efforts of the Lyttelton Volunteer Fire Service, and this photo was taken in March 2011, so it's very soon after the earthquakes, the collection was rescued from the building and was taken into safe storage at the Air Force Museum, where it eventually became part of the wider Cultural Collections Recovery Centre. As soon as the collection was safe, the Society understood that planning for a new museum needed to be carefully considered. Although it had been through a very difficult period, the Society decided it needed to take the opportunity to look to the future and create a new and better museum for its community and for those visitors that came to Lyttelton. To underpin this thinking, a strategic plan was produced. There are 3 key work streams in this plan. They're probably not so easy to see on the screen there. The first one was to check, catalogue, clean and preserve the collection. That was a key priority. The collection had been relatively poorly catalogued previously, but I can now say the collection has been checked, cleaned, stored and boxed, and is still in safe storage at the Air Force Museum until it's able to be moved into its own new building. So far, there are around 6,200 items catalogued and available online. This is a program called eHive, and then we've been able to do this thanks to some insurance funds and also from grants and the work of many, many volunteers. The final batch of about 2,000 object records will be uploaded to this website in the next few weeks. So anyone wants to see what's in the collection, it's all available in a way that never was previously. So there has been some good things come out of this journey for us. The next step for us was, with the building destroyed and the collection in storage, it was important that the museum retained a presence in Lyttelton so we could continue to engage with the community. A building, once it's gone, and a museum, once it's closed, can very quickly disappear altogether, and we were adamant we didn't want that to happen. So number one job was to establish a website, something we'd never had before, and a whole new brand identity was created around Harbour Stories, and that's the brand you'll have seen on the title page. We wanted it to reflect the wider Lyttelton Harbour, not just Lyttelton Port and Township. It is for the whole community. We've done many initiatives, including pop-up exhibitions, outdoor timeline panels, so one of the ones you see there is on the timeline at Grub Cottage. We've done digital slideshows, the most recent is in the window of the Information Centre. We've done calendars and all manner of other events to ensure the museum is not forgotten and, in fact, hopefully, better remembered. There's also been a great deal of community consultation around our strategic plan, including with the Business Association, the Port Company, community groups, Te Hapo Ngāti Wheke around at Rāpeki, community groups, and of course with the Community Board have been enormously supportive. The final work stream was to look at the feasibility of constructing a new building. We already understood that the formal council-owned building was covered by global rather than specific insurance, so we knew it was unlikely to be rebuilt, and decided instead that we should try and raise the funds ourselves. And we have a capital fundraising program that we are quietly confident will generate sufficient capital to build that building. We also want to make sure that the new museum contributes to the Lyttelton economy as a visitor attraction and supports and encourages business. To help with planning this work, a consultant was engaged and a range of investigations were undertaken, such as market analysis, site analysis, and ultimately we're just finishing off a final feasibility study.
So as well as considering the original museum site, that is site number 8 on that aerial photograph, we considered more than 10 sites. We quickly decided that we would like a museum with a much higher profile than the original one, and ended up focusing on site number 1, which is a Port Company site in Dampier Bay, and sites numbers 3 to 6 along London Street. We had several discussions with the Port Company, but ultimately decided against Dampier Bay because the land was unlikely to be available for some time. It was away from the main commercial area, and the museum could not risk being an orphan if further development did not occur there. And also we were concerned that a museum on the water's edge could create issues for conservation and preservation and may be subject to risk from flooding. To assist our decision making, cost consultants Rawlinson's provided us with rough order of costs to develop museums on each of the 5 sites that we most favoured, and after we ranked the sites for physical, market and financial criteria and discussed our requirements with site owners, the only site that is available and which best meets our needs is the council-owned former service centre site, that's site number 3. The site is located next to the Lyttelton Library, which is in the right of the photograph, and it is diagonally across an intersection from the popular Albion Square. In August last year, Rawlinson's estimated that it would cost in the order of $3.4 million to build a new museum on that site. A bulk and location study prepared for us by Warren and Marnie Architects confirmed that the site would work for a museum in terms of getting the floor area we require, and also to accommodate what the council planners have advised us would be an active frontage on the London Street footpath area. In this photograph, looking east along London Street, the site is just beyond the tree, which is on the northeastern corner of the library site. A museum on the vacant site would nicely fill a gap within a prime part of Lyttelton's commercial zone and allow the town's museum to have a high profile. We envisage drawing on the best of international museum practice to create a small but highly engaging visitor experience backed by professional standards in collection care and storage. I won't dwell on the detail of our final slide, but it sets out an indicative timeline that we have prepared should the Lyttelton Historical Museum Society be able to acquire the council's former service centre site and build a museum on it. We appreciate the opportunity to make this presentation to you today, and the Society will welcome very much your favourable consideration on the matter of making the site available for a new museum. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Very impressive presentation. Are there any questions?
Yeah, could you just go back to the various sites, that slide?
Sure.
I was just interested in the one, the site number 2. What was the story with that one?
That site too attracted us because it was, as you came out of Lyttelton and out of the tunnel and drove down Norwich Quay, it was a fairly high profile corner site, and we did approach the owners of that, and basically we were told pretty quickly that it just was unavailable.
Okay.
They had other ideas for it.
And is that the same with 9 and 10?
9 and 10, no, number 9 was the former Canterbury Hotel. That site, the owners would have been keen for us to have a museum there, but they were interested in owning the building and leasing space to us at a commercial rate, which we also, doing our homework, found out that paying a commercial rate would not be a goer for the museum at all. Plus it's on a reasonably busy intersection and perhaps difficulty with access. Did you say number 10?
Yeah.
Number 10, that was the former Post and Telegraph building site. That is now owned by the Port Company. We discussed that with them, and they want to keep that for port operations, but they weren't able to be specific about what that might be.
Okay, and last question, Yanni.
Oh, thanks. I was just wondering how much money you have versus how much money you need to fundraise for the program to go ahead.
At the moment, we've got about $600,000 in the bank. We've been very successful in getting quite a lot of pro bono work from Wallingtons and Warramani to date. And we've already had a lot of conversations with the Ministry of Culture and Heritage, for example, around their new Regional Heritage Fund. We expect there to be something in the order of $2 million there. So reasonably confident that we've got enough money to seed a good capital fundraising program. And I personally have got experience in doing that, so it's something I will lead for the team.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. What we'll do is take the other deputation and then we'll take your item that's on the agenda quite early in the agenda, so you don't have to wait around.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
indeed.